Hello and welcome to this next episode of the series where we're checking out submissions to the Dungeon Crawler Jam of April 2022. And this time we will have a look at Treasure Dive by Tableu. Tableu? I guess so. But before we get to the page and to the game itself, just a quick note for those who haven't seen any of the previous episodes yet. Down in the video description you find two links. One link will lead you to the itch.io page where you can download all the games for free or play them directly in the browser. And you find a second link which will bring you to a playlist with all the episodes released so far with all the games from the Jam. And the very first episode, there is a pilot episode with explanations about the terminology and the rules for the GameJam. So, let's get to Treasure Dive. Explore an underwater cave in search of treasure, but watch out for the squids and keep an eye on your oxygen tank. Controls WASD, rotate, okay, attack J and restart is R. Okay, J for attacking is a bit odd, but we will manage. So, let's dive into it. Alright, so here we are in a Treasure Dive, and the game is starting right away when you... Well, the gameplay is starting right away when you start up the game, and the game is timed. You can see there is an oxygen level, and that one is decreasing, and if it reaches 0, you die. There are enemies in here, and if you get attacked... I don't know. Yeah, okay, we ran over an oxygen fuel thing, then we got more oxygen, and then we instantly died because there was an enemy. So press R to start again. Now, regarding the perspective, it's probably fine. So you can see that there is a wall right to us because of this, like here. You can see that, well, this would be a wall. I mean, it's very hard to see, but I think it's fine. I think we would be able to see the floor as well, maybe, if the perspective wasn't that limited with these goggle thingies here. But the bigger problem is the movement, which unfortunately is just terrible. So you can see that we have this oxygen level, and it should decrease in the same intervals, right? Like blop, 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 blop. If the game was running, well, on a decent pace, but this game isn't. So every time when the game is calculating a cycle, it uses a different amount of time to calculate that cycle. And that means that also every step you take takes a vastly different amount of time to process. And that means that sometimes it's almost instant, and sometimes it just takes forever. So let me show you. I will just press E now in like press. Yeah, so you could see that, okay, there's the and the chest is gone, because it was loading so long for this tile, for this one turn, and then it was processing 2 turns at the same time. And you can see that with the bar, because sometimes it's taking like half a second or like a fourth of a second until it goes further, and sometimes it takes like a whole second to process one action. And unfortunately, that's making the game almost unplayable, because if you combine that limitation of the time and the very bad movement or the very bad processing, you don't really get anywhere. So we had this jellyfish. So I was turning and just waiting for the turn, and I attacked it, but I don't know if I hit it. There's no feedback. Turn, forward, forward. Turn, forward, left, forward. It's just taking too long. Yeah, there are these ladders. You also cannot queue up multiple things. I mean, you can press them, but I can't really tell even if they're executed queued up, basically, because it just takes so long to do everything. By the way, the native resolution of the game is something times 512, so what you can see there is actually already magnified times 2. But yeah, I don't think that there's a whole lot I can show you here in addition. So we have the jellyfish, we have the treasures, we have the oxygen we can collect. And of course, we need to try to get a high score of whatever. So this is the first level. Now we go up the stairs. And we are greeted by jellyfish, but I can't even turn that fast. It's so... Yeah, that is unfortunately an extremely frustrating experience. The speed in that game is just terrible, and with that the movement is terrible. So it's a bit of the same issue as the other game had, the game by the character Nick guy, but at least in that game you had like, I have some kind of understanding for why it was so slow, because in let me check how the name of the game was. That was GT Form version 0.5 by Checky Stack. That was also terribly slow, but in that game a lot of stuff was going on, like several enemies picking up items and so on. I mean, it doesn't make it better, it still feels terrible, but here there's just one enemy or so roaming around, and yeah, it just doesn't work. For the idea, I think that's fine. The underwater collecting treasure, diving stuff is quite cool, and I mean, we had Aegir Rising, which was an underwater game as well, and you could see in the game like that one was more like a story-based game, and I actually like the idea of having a limited amount of time, limited oxygen to have. I mean, in this jam format, because it shrinks the game and it gives you a challenge to complete. But unfortunately, this combination of very bad movements or high processing times and being time-based, that's just deadly combination. So yeah, that's leading, as I mentioned, to a very frustrating experience. That was Treasure Dive by Tableu. And if you want to give it a chance yourself, maybe it runs better on your machine, so give it a try. You can find the games, as I mentioned, on itch.io. You find the link to that down in the video description. If you want to see more, then subscribe to the channel or check the playlist down in the video description. And with that, I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.